Hi guys, how's everyone doing? We're just hanging a little for more people to join. I know a lot of people will be joining from YouTube today. So welcome everybody to today's webinar. My name is Olusola Amusan. I'm excited to welcome you to the webinar today, and I look forward to such an amazing time. Today, we've had this super made this progress over the past few weeks now. We started from Ireland and now we did Germany and now we're moving to France. So it's going to be a super exciting time and welcome everybody. Yeah, I believe the audio is working now. For those who are on YouTube, we have like 4 minutes to figure all of that out before we start. So this is pre-start. Okay, they can hear me now. Awesome. So I'm gonna have a bunch of other people joining us. So just hang in there if you're already watching on YouTube. And if you joined on Zoom, you're also welcome. I think many more people will join on YouTube today. Just a personal choice, I guess. And I provided a link for both. So rather than having challenges like we sometimes do, I wanted to make sure that we join on time today so that we can fix all those difficulties real quick. I think we should get us some music just to get along, get a groove on, you know what I'm saying? As usual. Let's see if I can get something played on Spotify.
Watch this short video to get 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my convenience store. Win up to $100,000 instantly. Enjoy the next 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening.
All right, it's 2 o'clock right here in Dallas, Texas. It's 9 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. And we're about getting started with today's webinar. Super happy to have every one of you on the call tonight. Yeah, I don't want us to take too much of time. I want us to get started with it. Once again, welcome everybody, regardless of wherever you're watching us, whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Zoom. It's exciting to have you here. This is a continuation of our Europe series. Welcome to Move Me in 12. We started this philosophy, we started all this old work around helping young Nigerians, young professionals to be able to identify pathways to move to Europe and America. And I keep telling people it's possible in 12 months. I have people here who have been consistent, committed. Some of them have testimonies already, some of them are on their pathway. And it just pays to learn all the different methods to be able to migrate and move out of Nigeria, particularly if you think that your potential is strongly hampered and you're not able to achieve your dreams in Nigeria. I already have my speakers here who have, been so kind to give their time to us today, and you'll be meeting them shortly. But I just want to make sure that everybody who is trying to get their chair ready, get someplace quiet in the house to sit, is getting ready to do that. So typically, I give about 3 to 5 minutes to. Like I always say this, right? The reason why people come late to meetings is not because there's traffic, and Zoom and coronavirus helped us to realize, because people are now coming late to Zoom calls. So it's not traffic or anything. It's just a personal choice. Let me tell you how it works for some people. When they have a 2 o'clock meeting, they stand up from wherever they are at 2 o'clock. Like there is no preparation. And technology will show you Pepe. That's when Zoom will not load, right? That's when something will happen. So you always have to give it like some buffer, some 15, 20 minutes, of your time, so that at least you're certain that there won't be any issues at all. So the people, for my guests who are not quite familiar with this community, the people you see on Zoom are some people who are either in our, in any of our training programs, or who I am doing something more structured for. Those are the ones who are in the Zoom class right now. So they're either from the exclusive group or from my data science classes and all that, or both, right? Because some of them have learned about like skilled migration and all. And then there's another group of people who are, joining on YouTube, because I mean, Zoom will be filled to capacity, sometimes not, sometimes it does, and I don't want to have that issue. So we just sort of like broadcast it to my YouTube as well, so, and then those who are on the Telegram have access to that YouTube. And there's a couple of people right there joining now. And usually for these webinars, we have an average of 150, 160 people watching on YouTube, which is a sizable number considering the fact that when people say they want to move and actually deciding to move, they're two different things. Like when people are tired, well, I'm tired of Nigeria, I just want to move. Then when you're like, can you do the things that you need to do to be able to move? Then the number drops severely. Boom. So I'm used to that already. So yeah, several people register for webinars, and then only those who remember at the time, who get the remembers, whose emails don't come in 5 days later, they're the ones who actually get to join the webinar. So thanks to everyone. I see Onyida on the call. I see Obinna on the call. Shout out to you guys. Thanks so much for coming ever so early on the call. And of course, I think Toby will be joining us shortly. I don't see her just yet. I think she might be somewhere. Maybe her video is not spotlighted for me to see. So as many of you have seen, I'll share my screen again. As many of you have seen, I have 3 fabulous guests today. It keeps getting better, right? Because for Germany, for Ireland, I had only 1 guest. For Germany, I had 2 guests. For France, I have 3 guests. Maybe for UK, I'm going to have 4 guests. Who knows? But I mean, the more the merrier as far as this is concerned, because they get to share from different perspectives. I've seen webinars where people just come and talk about only education. And because of that, someone who doesn't want to follow the pathway of education doesn't learn anything. And then you have another webinar where you have it's just totally about work. And then some other people want to go through the education pathway, don't get a chance to do that. So you have those kind of situations, but today we're going to have like a balanced perspective, because we're going to have people tell us, their stories, how they've journeyed to France, and what they're currently doing there. And of course, I'm going to unveil a partnership that I've spoken about to a few of you before. Re-unveil. I'm going to keep re-unveiling it until you all know everything about it, and then we keep going on like that. So I will get started usually with my beginning rants about why we're doing what we're doing. I would ask that my speakers endure me a little, because they are guests and they're like, okay, when is our session? But I know they already know it's a conversation, so they would allow me, But for the rest of you, you have no choice. You're stuck with me. Don't you get it? Like until you move to whatever country you are moving to, you're stuck with me. Even when you move, I have a group that has been set up to help people stabilize in new countries that they are going to, and not just be second-class citizens wherever they go to, but begin to make impact wherever they go to, so they can bring GDP per capita to headquarters back home in Africa. So you literally stuck with me. I mean, as long as you have this global relevance mindset, we're together in this and we keep learning from each other. So we started, and in case you haven't watched the video and you're listening to me right now, we have a video on Ireland. We actually have a bunch of videos on a platform I call the Move Me in 12 Insider. It's called the Jackpot Insider, right? In the Insider platform, it's completely free. You have tons of videos that I have scheduled there that I've just put there on the platform, that allows every single person who is in our large community to see previous webinars and be able to learn. There is just so much power, as we have seen in previous webinars, in personally researching. There's so much power in personally researching and being able to decide where you're going to. Not just hearing from somebody that Canada is the in thing and everybody's rushing to Canada, forgetting that Canada has some very strict, sort of guidelines that many people can never qualify for, particularly if they don't have advanced degrees and they are not young enough. And also, so the three things for Canada is you must have multiple degrees, if it's OND, HND, or if it's masters and bachelors. You must be young enough. So usually it works better for people that are under 30. Of course, people above 40 have also migrated to Canada, but it works better for people below 30. And the third one is you have to have a good command of written and spoken English, and you must pass IELTS. So already that is telling you that there's a type of people they're looking for in their economy. They don't want kind of people. They want people who are clear, and not everybody has that foundation, to be able to do that. That's why people write IELTS 4 times. Of course, we have a solution for it in Move Me in 12. We created free learning groups. Over 1,000 people are in the IELTS free learning group. Even in the French learning group, over 500 people are there. So if you're on the Telegram, you can get access to all of these free solutions to help you to get started. We're doing this like purpose, right? And having said all of this, our goal continues to remain that we're showing people that there are other pathways other than Canada, the United States that most people know. There are first world countries in Europe that give you the opportunity of great social security, great health insurance, great education, great standard of living. And some of my guests today will be elucidating on all of that. Yeah, so the approach we're going to take is that, Toby, please, if you're on the call, Toby Ricketts, if you're on the call, please message me privately so I know that you're here. I know that all my lineup is complete. However, because it's a conversation, we'll just get started all the same. So the foundation of this, for those of you who are still not clear, because some of you who know me from like my days of, evangelizing on securing Africa, they say, what's going on? What has changed? And basically, Toby, yes, I see you now. Welcome, Mama, welcome. Bonsoir, bonsoir, bonsoir. To all the French people who understand some French, bonsoir. So basically, I am happy to welcome all my guests here today. I will introduce them in a bit. But again, as I was saying, the foundation of what we're doing is that potential is universal. Brilliance is evenly distributed, but it's environment that contributes to how your life is going to change and how you're going to be able to provide succor for other people. Global relevance is our calling, is our assignment, every single one of us. Our life is not just about surviving, about being able to take care of our immediate families. It's about being able to do that and more. It's about being able to take care of our loved ones, but also being able to contribute to the world. And how will you be able to do that if you're in a place where your potential is not going to be maximized, where your security is not guaranteed, and when you can't really experience true freedom? So that's why people are looking for better climbs, not just because they're looking for more salary. Some people have good salary in Nigeria, but they want peace of mind. I'll give you an example. Someone in a top company in Nigeria, I'll mention like 5 so that you won't be able to point at one. From Guarantee Trust Bank to Access Bank to InterSwitch to even Microsoft, people are living for greener pastures. Why? Not because salary is bad, but because they want a better standard of living for themselves. They want a better life. They want to be able to live in peace. They want to be able to live a secure life and all of that. And when people harass me and tell me things like, why are you doing this to Nigeria? This is brain drain. I tell them 2 things. First of all, you cannot be the one to dictate where people should go live their lives. If they actually feel very strongly that they would need to go to a place where they are more valued, you don't have any right to stop them. It is not patriotism. It's with enjoying the freedom that their individuality deserves. So that's number 1. And number 2 of it is that if you want them to stay, create an enabling environment. It's as simple as that. So if I have a skill that is a UI UX designer skill or a website designer skill or a whatever skill that I have, Come on, think about it. Will I stay in a place where I'm being paid 80,000 naira every month for the next 6 years? Or will I move to a place where they pay me $5,000 a month with health insurance, with social security, and the ability to lift my entire extended family out of poverty? Come on, think about it. So people have to be able to make a choice about where they are going to. For some other persons, it's a question of their potential. And I'm creating this background so all of you who are new to this paradigm will be able to understand why we're doing what we're doing, and you will know the importance of staying to the end. All right. So I always make this example. If my purpose in life or my assignment or what I consider my goal is to become an astronaut, can I become an astronaut in Nigeria as of today? Does Nigeria have a space program? Do we even have any plan to go to space at all? That means I'm done for. So exactly the same way, there are people who want to be a type of surgeon, a type of medical doctor, a type of engineer, a type of financial expert, a type of polymath, a type of teacher, a type of engineer, and they need to move to a place where they will be able to receive the right education and the right environment to be able to deliver their potential. People always say that to succeed in business, there's some people who just want to be entrepreneurs in a place that works. To succeed in business in anywhere else in the world, generally, to succeed in business anywhere in the world, you have to be determined. You have to be resolute, isn't it? But to succeed in business in Nigeria, you have to be ready to die. That's another level. It's not just being determined, you have to be ready to die. You have to like put your life on the line. You have to put your livelihood on the line. You have to put your resources on the line, and there are no safety nets whatsoever. This is the reality of Nigeria as of today. It doesn't mean that that's what it will be in 50 years' time. But do you want to spend the next 50 years of your life finding out if that's going to happen? In 1993, my father was carrying me on a bike. He carried me on a bike protesting on MKO Abiola. My father, 30-something years later, I and my peers are protesting the same issues that my parents protested 30 years ago. Do you want to spend the rest 30 years of your life thinking about whether your children will do exactly the same thing, or do you want to make a different choice? For those of you who are familiar with my thoughts, this won't be new. So you will probably wonder that I'm saying the exact same things, but I'm saying it because of those who are just attending or who are just being part of this. So that's the foundation I needed to set today with the first 15 minutes of this call. So I would introduce my guests from the famous left but not least, as they say, starting from Miss Toby Ricketts. Toby is a friend. She's amazing. She's passionate, about global relevance. And she's also the country director, Anglophone West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Nigeria, or Anglophone West Africa. And she just told me that actually, I don't know if it's official yet, she will be covering some part of East Africa as well for a university in France called AI Vancity. It's an artificial intelligence university that Covenworks, my company, has the privilege of partnering with. And she's here today to share not just about AI Vancity, but about her story of how she moved to France, got an education in France, and how she now works for a university in the country of France. And I have another friend of mine who we've been friends for a couple of years now. Cool-headed, gentle, but resolute and focused. He doesn't like so much to be said about him. He is humble. Mr. Obinna Chineubeze. Now, Obinna is a friend and a brother, and is a PhD scholar in France. When I was in Paris in, I think, 2017 or 2018, he was my host for the second part of my trip because I'd come to receive a Microsoft award at the time, and he showed me around, and we met a few people and we discussed at length. But Obinna and I share a chord or a friendship that is even deeper in our sense of community service through an organization called the Global Shippers Community of the World Economic Forum, where we had met earlier. So Obinna is here as well to share his story, how he found his PhD opportunity in France. For those of you who are looking for schools across Europe or you've never even thought about it, what he's doing for his research, how he got in there, how many schools he had to apply to, the kind of opportunities he's seen with his friends. Like some of my speakers in the past sessions will talk about some of the opportunities that they see their friends even taking up, both in France and across the whole of Europe. It will tell you a little bit about language barrier as well, if there is any. Like it will tell you some of those things are challenges and all the other beautiful things. when when I was in Obinna's room, we did talk about like all of the concerns about power and internet in Nigeria and how all that was a thing of the past now and is able to innovate beyond boundaries. And of course, I have someone who is dynamic. I got a chance to speak with her. She's new to me as a friend, but I think we're going to be friends because she's sound. She has a vision. She has an art for people, And my third guest name is Miss Oida Mola Olusumade. And she is just she's just amazing. We had some time to chat earlier today just to discuss what the objectives of these sessions are. And she will be talking to us about a variety of things beyond education opportunities in the country of France. So thanks all my three guests. And then we'll get started. I will start with the man. I'm going to start with Obinna, not for any reason, just because I feel that from the trajectory that I'm trying to set today, I would start with someone who we were in Nigeria together a few years ago. I'm in Dallas today. He's in France, but is currently visiting Nigeria. Now Nigeria is visiting now. You know what I'm saying? So he's currently visiting Nigeria on like a short trip, and he will be sharing how he got about this, what potential are there for young people, and what we can begin to do. So we'll start with his introduction, and I will have some leading questions, and then I will make Toby Loba go next to give some introduction as well about our journey and what is possible for young people. And then we'll take an introduction from Onyi as well. Then we begin the conversation and we start taking it from each other. Let's go now. Obinna, welcome to the show today. I'm going to spotlight your video now. Okay, I need to unmute you. Just give me a second. I'm going to unmute you. Ask to unmute. Yeah, I just asked to unmute. So good to go now. Then I won't share my
Ah,
screen so that your
nice.
face can be large enough. Yeah.
So, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my brother.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Shala. First of all, joining the session, I saw you doubling as a DJ and as a moderator, and I was wondering, wow, this is a new skill. Thank you so much for the introduction. I mean, it's always been a pleasure to be with you, to do the things to participate in the things you organize. I mean, from the very first time we met, I've always seen that you have this drive to implement change. So, like you said, when you were introducing that, a lot of people would ask you, "Oh, what are you doing right now? What is this brain drain thing you're facilitating?" I mean, when you told me about this first, that thought came to mind because there's also a research seminar I'll be attending, and this is actually a story about how China is trying to reverse brain drain by something called Talent 1000 Talent, something like that. But programmed to, I think, bring a lot of Chinese back. But I understand perfectly what you're saying, and I can relate with the fact that there are certain climes where your talents are highly valued, and when you're there, you're even better able to impact here. One of the beautiful realizations I've come to realize since I moved out is that even if you don't earn so much, by the time it crosses border, it becomes a lot of money. You can actually make impact more than you would if you're around here. So I completely subscribe to what you're doing. But if I may add, let us also, I mean, this is just a general advice to everyone now. When you do move out, just think about your home country and strategically think about what you can also do to make it a nice place. It's always a beautiful thing. I think the politicians we have are not doing very well because they see these good things and they can't translate them down. So don't be like them. When you go out there, you see something nice. Think of ways you can also um, make our society a lot better, because in the end, it's still our country. We can get double citizenships, but it would be nice if we're naturally proud of Nigeria, even if there are not many things to be proud of. But then it would be nice if eventually we have things to be proud of. So I'll just do a quick intro of how I moved out. I would say my journey started with um, when I was working in Unilag. I finished from there. I got the opportunity to work as a graduate assistant, and that was just a program the school had launched to retain people who did quite well in the school. So I signed up for, of course, I did chemical engineering. So I signed up for the job. I was on it. And then with that, I started doing a master's in chemical engineering. And it was like I already had a career in becoming a chemical engineering academic. And then one day I just thought to myself, but is this really the path I want to toe? Because I've always had this entrepreneurship thing interest, So I thought maybe it would be nice because I tried to run a business when I was serving. So I thought maybe it would be nice to find a way to actually change course, because if I didn't do anything proactively, then that was already the path I was on. So I applied to Lagos Business School. They had this program for, it was called Management Scholars Academy, if I'm not mistaken. So it was just a program where they attract people from, all schools. I think they had a minimum class of degree you should have, and then you come in, and the idea was to bring you into a program where within 2 years they give you the basics of management research, and then from there you go on to apply for a PhD program. So essentially, the job is supposed to be yours to find the PhD. It's not like they're funding you or anything, but they're just bringing you together, which is also a very laudable initiative because um, other than that, you may not know that there are these opportunities. But when you come in there, they show you that, okay, there are actually schools that are advertising these things. These are the ways to apply. Then apply yourself, and then if you get something, you leave the system. And then we're also given a target. You have to leave in 2 years. Otherwise, you lose the job. So I thought it was a really nice program. And I took the risk because I was on a federal government, University of Lagos job. It was like a guaranteed job for life because you really can't be fired unless you do something really bad. So you may not be promoted, but you won't be, if you don't make progress with your research, then you probably just be on a certain level. But then I just decided to, go to Lagos Business School, take the chance of a 2 year job. And the beautiful thing was I didn't even spend I spent just about 3 months there, and I got a PhD immediately, and I left. I think that was the shortest they had recorded at the time. So they were really like thinking, how are we going to do this? Because part of the plan was they wanted us to come in, work with their faculty, produce some research, and then this guy is coming in and is going without even getting confirmed. So, but that's one testimony I'm grateful to God for. So it so happened that while I was in LBS, I really loved the environment, and what I felt really bad about was, well, this is not a long-term thing. The eventual thing is you have to either leave here or go abroad. So I just made up my mind that, well, since we have to go abroad anyway, so let's just focus on that. So I started applying. They used to send us whenever there's an opening, they just share it across all of us. They just send an email. My plan was to I joined in April. In April, yeah. My plan was to wait for September when I applied to US schools. And then but while waiting I just felt a couple of European schools, if I see them, let me just try, I'll probably learn something from applying, even if I don't get it. And so there was this one they sent about I applied to just about three because I just felt, it's the US schools I was going to hit anyway. So I applied to this particular school I was in. The application closed on the 15th of May, and I applied on the 15th of May. So I mean I applied on the deadline. And then by June 1, they told me I'd been taken. I was like, oh really? This is good. So and then that was how the whole thing just changed. And then um, I resigned in about 3 months from starting, and then I left for France in August. Now, I'll say a little bit about what they needed for the application, and the application still closes May 15th. So if you go check, you still see that PhD admissions for my school is still um, um, May 15th. Somebody just asked me which school did you apply to, so I will just tell you it's ESSEC. You can check that. What they required were just the normal things US schools would require, and that's GRE and TOEFL. So I had those prior to before I even got into the no, I had GRE prior to getting into LBS. So I did TOEFL, and then I sent it with all the other things they wanted. So I would say that there are lots of opportunities like this, especially in Europe. Here's the reason why. American schools have tended to be the standard for research for a very long time, and they still are. Like there are many schools that are research driven schools, and they are the ones who feature very highly in rankings. But recently, European schools have started trying to be like American schools. And so that's a great opportunity. The Americans will generally not apply to European schools because they would have lots of schools to apply to within America. And then a lot of them also provide PhD funding. But within Europe, a lot of schools tend to be like in France, a lot of schools tend to be French schools. And then a few of them are now branching out and trying to compete globally. And so ESSEC is like one of them, HEC is one of them. INSEAD is not really a French school, even though they have a campus in Fontainebleau. And they don't consider themselves as a French school, but they are located in France anyway. So these schools that are trying to match up with American schools tend to recruit PhD students like American schools do, provide funding, run them through like a typical American standard type of PhD program. And so they require GRE, IELTS, or TOEFL, as these other schools do. There are other schools within these countries that may have lower thresholds. Germany has a little bit of a different system, but there are still few of them who are trying to do like these American schools, just like my school is doing. So I think these are really good opportunities for you to apply. If you see, if you if you go online, you probably see lots of them in Netherlands, across Europe in general. There are many of them, and so you can just see these as opportunities to move out. There's a friend of mine who also left from LBS to Naples in Italy. He's also in a school, a similar business school like I am in. There's another one who's in ESA. ESA is in Spain, and that's how they've been moving around there.
Many of these have strange spellings, so I wouldn't mind if you can give us what the spellings of those are. This when I
Okay,
do general webinars, the large classes, right? We don't go specific like this, but in the smaller workshops, we try to go specific. So sorry to interrupt you. So you
okay,
mentioned ISEC, we've written that down. ISEC,
yeah.
you just ISEC,
ESA is
ISEC. So
IESE.
yeah, so okay. I just call it IESE. Okay, that's how it's
Yeah,
pronounced.
yeah,
I see. Yeah, it's also big. Like I think we saw it as well when I was with you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So some of those names, it will be great to like have them out. Yes, IASC. Okay. So and all of those schools, like they as Obinna is saying, they're like all matching up to American standards right now. Like not even Americans to like global standards in terms of
global
like
standards. Yeah,
research funding and all those kind of things. They've always been amazing schools. Some of them 100 times better than many schools in Nigeria. I don't mince words when I say that because I've attended a Nigerian university, I've attended university in America. I know what like the commitment to learn and all of that is. And I mean, Obinasi has a very, very great heart for Nigeria. So do I, and we keep saying that, you can't give blood if you are not well. Like you're not well yourself, you can't give blood. You can't donate blood. If you yourself are a victim, you can help others. So the
yeah,
whole goal of all of this that we're doing is so that you can live to your full potential. And then eventually, which is a choice, I don't force it on anybody, it's a choice whether it's for reward, which is doing a business with the African continent, or it's for patriotism, which is investing back in CSR for Africa. You got to be doing something with that continent. Otherwise, you're throwing away the opportunity. So yeah, so Obina, I just wanted to break in there to sort of like, adjust the flow. You talked about like some of those schools that you applied to. You talk about, anytime I have a guest who talks about the fact that who starts their story from like a Lagos business school, I know a number of people in my audience who feel like that's a privileged person. You understand what I'm saying? So I wanted to give some more sense of like, and I mean, you don't have to make it up if you don't have a humble background like someone like me. If everything has always been rosy and great. But I have people in my group who go like, this can't work for me because I don't have money. This can't work for me because I don't have this. This can't work for me. So I want to tell you, something tells me that you are not a cousin to the Otedolas and all of that. So I mean, you probably want to share a little about prior to Lagos Business School, what happened, and how you got to that point, and whether or not you had always seen a PhD in view. You understand what I'm saying? And eventually, it wasn't just an accident that you were in Unilag, doing that research assistant job before the PhD opportunity in Europe came by. And then for those who are waiting for fall in September for it to apply to the US, your story is inspiring them right now. And you don't have to wait for fall of 2021 to apply to the US. You can actually take on opportunities in Europe. So I wanted you to speak to that.
Oh yeah. So I wish I. Anyways, when you said I'm not a cousin to Othello, I think that would be nice to. I mean, but anyways, yeah, the full story about how this all started, I would say, began when I was in final year. So I had always wanted to do an MBA. I felt like I should have a stint of management. I was trained as a chemical engineer, so I enjoyed the program, but I felt a part of me wanted to do something entrepreneurial, something managementy kind of thing. So I'd always wanted to do an MBA right from time. And while I was in final year, I saw this HBS 2+2. I don't know, those who have been trying to apply to Harvard Business School will probably know HBS 2+2. HBS 2+2 is a kind of an MBA program where you you do a 2-year MBA program, and then you get the opportunity to do an internship for 2 years in another company. That was actually what prompted me to do the GRE in the final year in University of Lagos. So I just took the exam. At the time, I think they had issues with Nigeria, so I had to travel to Ghana to do the exam, and then I did that, and then I had the results. Typically, it lasts for 5 years. Now, um, after that, a lot of things happened. I couldn't even apply to the program. I applied to many other schools, and then I eventually began to lose the motivation until I got into this job with Unilag, and then that was when I began to say, if I'm not proactive about doing something about this, then nothing would change. So I already had the GRE, and then I did the TOEFL, added that to it, and then I applied to this school. But to address your question, need if you're going to go for schooling. If you're going to go for schooling, it opens lots of doors for you across. I think my internet is becoming
Yeah, we lost you.
unstable.
We lost you for a very slight bit. You were talking about TOEFL and some of the other exams and how it's an advantage.
Okay, so let me just turn off my video if that's taking more bandwidth, and then when I'm done, I'll just put it back on. So as I was saying,
That's all right.
um, so TOEFL, IELTS, GRE, GMAT are all exams that I wouldn't say they are exclusively for a certain class of people. I did that with my money while I was in Unilag, and not because I had a lot of it. It was just money I saved up. So I think it's something that anybody can have. And once you have those, you open yourself up to lots of opportunities. Like when the opportunity to apply to these European schools came and they wanted these things, then I just sent it to them. I think it's a basic thing that is accessible to everyone and that everyone should have if you're going to go this route, because it opens to you lots of opportunities. US is almost a no-go area without them. I mean, there are schools who take other things, but I would suggest that you know it's not that hard. I mean, it's not a high standard to attain, and it's something that is open to everyone. You don't need to have a lot of money to be able to take those exams. I'm not sure if this addresses your question, Shola.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And I think that to a good extent, you've been able to share a very, very crucial story of how how you started so that people can get the perspective. It was a regular, Unilag student who just had high ambition as well about what he wanted to do with his life and sort of got clarity right early, and I shared my story with you before. Not everybody has this privilege, but there's quite a couple of people who feel like, okay, they have this dream and aspiration, and he has had the aspirations since when he was in final year. I don't know whether you flew to Ghana or you went by road, but I've told people about the story of me going by road to Ghana to do this kind of things. If you tell us you flew there, then people will know you had money all along. Anyway, but the point is, like, there's nothing
ABC
wrong with
goes there.
having.
I took ABC.
Took ABC, yeah, our ABC family. So ABC was Bay, back in the day, to go to Ghana. So that was, those of you who are like, that is commitment. Commitment is, I'm a final year student, I want to write GRE. They are not allowing it in Nigeria. Some people wait 1 whole year or 2 years to say, when they begin to write it again, that's what I'll do. How will I go all the way to Ghana? He did that, and that was the background, that was the beginning for him. And along and long, you've heard the story of how he transited from the transition from that to like took a program in LBS, which wasn't the MBA. It wasn't the MBA you did in LBS. Was that
Oh no. So now
what's
when
that?
I
What's that
actually
program? Because if that program still exists, my people are interested in it. What is that program?
oh okay. I see what you mean now. With the whole thing about, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I see what you mean now with the whole thing about being privileged with the LBS story. Oh, okay. So yeah,
Oh, your network is cracking out. No, we gotta hear this. Oh my god. We have to hear this. I want to hear how you got that part because I know people on my call here who are super interested in knowing the exact program. Obinna, we can't hear you at this time. Um, oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! What is going on? Okay, we can't hear Obinna at this time. Okay. I think he's going to try to join. I think he's going to try to join back again. But when we're trying to get Obinna back, because we got to hear the full gist of that story, right? Look, there's nothing wrong in being privileged. I brought people on my webinars who are privileged. I still met with a gentleman yesterday whose parents filed for him. Like, there's nothing wrong in being privileged, but the majority of people in Nigeria are not privileged. And if the majority of people are not privileged, then usually the stories that connect the most with people are the stories of grass to grace. They are the stories of it wouldn't work for me normally, but this is what I did, and then it worked for me. Doesn't mean that the stories of people who were okay, but still had to be diligent to succeed, and to be able to maybe even carry on the touch of success that is already in their families. It doesn't mean that those stories are irrelevant. Are you with me now? But usually people who face challenges are very plenty in a country that is challenged like Nigeria. Toby, I am going to bring you on while I try to get Obinna back, and I just wanted to start. Maybe you've gotten some background from Obinna's conversation and you're able to tell us your story quickly. Your case might be slightly different because this is you here. You have like 4 MBAs. I don't know. You're like, you went to do a master's in France. Let me ask to mute so that, yeah, you went to do a program in France. Now you came back to Nigeria to do an MBA at LBS, all of that. So you are powerful, you are loaded. But beyond that, I know you are diligent, I know you are committed, I know you have great work ethic. And of course, more importantly, your goal is to be able to help other Nigerians to find a pathway
No.
to France. So, Toby, over to you. Toby, can you hear us?
Boss, Shola,
Bonsoir. Bonsoir.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can all hear you now. Just go on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing? It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Shola. Just so I know that you can hear me, Shola, can you say something? Just so I know you can hear me.
Toby, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Oh, great. Oh, great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me, Shola. And thank you for that introduction. Honestly, I'm excited to be here because Obina just started on a great note, and I'm like, oh my God, where was Obina when I was going to France? But where was Obinna when I was going to France? He could have just, given me all these dates. I wouldn't have, bothered about coming back. But hey, like I always say, our journey is a blessing. Sometimes we think, we sometimes regret some of the things that we've done in the past, like I've shared with Shola. There were a lot of things I didn't know when I was studying in France that I come to know now.
Oh no, we're losing Toby as well. So Toby, maybe you do this for me. Like, I love to see your beautiful face, or you're looking gorgeous tonight, But if you can turn off your video for a moment, maybe that will help with the bandwidth as well. Um,
Currently known
yeah, she's gonna take some time before she can hear us because of the delay from our hand.
now, and today when I was doing some research for this webinar, I was still like, Toby. Okay, Shola, is this better?
Better.
Okay, is this better? Okay, all right. So I mean, I was just saying that I was excited that Obinna started first because it just really opened up this door of great insights and knowledge. And I was just like, where was Obinna when I was going to France? It would have helped me a lot. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I would not just be here. Um, just to be sure that you can hear me,
Yes, go
because
on.
my screen is kind of frozen now. Shola, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay. A bit about my background. I mean, Shola, we all have this sub story, and I'm going to share it like it is. I mean, a lot of people graduated. I mean, to put it well in a way that it is Osu. So it's not like I had this silver spoon, setting or background. And shall I keep saying, oh, you have 4 MBAs? No, don't listen to him, please. But one thing that I'd always had was the drive to be relevant in whatever field that I choose at the end of the day. And that entrepreneurial drive has always been there for me. Even if I'm an employee, hey, Tosin, nice to see you. Whether I'm an employee
Oh my. What's the network doing to us today? Oh my God.
an employer of labor, I've always had that interpretation, the ability to see things ahead, to innovate. And those are some of those skills that I had. Like I all have this in a bunch of university, just wanted to do was to start. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're back. You're back now.
Okay. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I really don't know what's going on. I guess it's the network, but I'll just try to be as fast as possible. So, after my graduation, I knew I wanted to go into business, but my family would not have it. They said,
So,
I
Toby.
mean, they would not just have it. No, honestly, I'm one of those people that did me university. When I mean wanted to do in terms of work in a proper organization. Yes, please.
Yeah. So what happens is that it cuts you severely, and then it tries to rush up everything you said real quick. Then it cuts you again, and then the cycle continues like that.
Okay.
We're having a hard
Okay.
time.
How do we solve this problem?
Can you
Do you
maybe
think I should leave the chat and come back?
maybe it's working now? Hopefully, it doesn't cut again. I hear you clear anytime you're trying to explain what's going on.
Oh my goodness. I'm a pray for global.
Now it's breaking. You know what? Let's
Okay,
make an attempt. Let's
so
try to maybe.
let me just
Yes, Obinna is back, so I'll
If
let
you
him
rush
conclude his
this.
thoughts. I will try to get you back. If I don't get you back earlier enough, then I'm going to have Oyinda just continue. Those who are on Zoom can understand these kind of challenges, but the guys on YouTube will feel very lost with these network issues. So I would say that let's try to see if you can leave and join again. And I would ask Obinna to conclude his thoughts around what you were saying.
So from Olusola University, I mean, I started my. Is this better?
Nope. Yeah, Obinna, I just unmuted you.
Oh, okay. You hear me clearly, right?
Yes, we do. I'm going to spotlight you in a moment. Yeah, go on.
Okay. Thank you for spotlighting. So, where I was trying to describe you were the picture of the LBS thing. So this is actually the truth. When I was when I was looking for the MBA opportunity, I was looking for a funded program. So that was what led me to the HBS 2+2, and then eventually, I felt if I don't get the opportunity, because I know I didn't have the money to pay for it anyway. So what is the best bet for me? That's why I decided to take a research assistantship job in Lagos Business School. So it wasn't like I actually did a program I paid for. I took up a job there, and then I can understand if you say, okay, maybe it's not even also open to everybody to just find a job there, but that was why I wanted. So I got the opportunity to interview with one of the faculty there. She spoke to me. She liked what I was what I was thinking in terms of research, and then she felt, okay, let me bring this guy on board. And then she gave me all the support I needed, and it just so happened really fast. I don't know if that addresses your question, but there's something I don't want to forget, which I want to put on the chat, and I think it's super important for people looking to apply to France. It's a total scholarship. I think it's going to be closing in a few days' time, so you just might want to give it a chance. There are lots of people who I've met in France who were total scholars, and if you get on total scholarship and you come into France, it's a French company, so you can expect that your life is also a lot improved because I don't know. But I'll just drop a file here so that
Thank
you
you. Thank you
can,
for
if it
dropping the
applies
file.
to you.
I'll share with those on the Telegram as well. So that's a doer right there. So thanks for sharing that file.
So if there are other questions, Shala, you can
Yeah,
just let
so
me
we
know.
will, yeah, we will get to that. Just as I said, what we wanted to do is to take like each or so. We've taken your leading discussion right now, and then definitely people have questions for you at some point. But we're going to take Toby is not yet back, so we're going to move to Oyinda real quickly. Just to share some of our own introductory thoughts as well, and then we continue the conversation. So I'm going to unmute Oyinda right now. She has this, beautiful smile. She's amazing. Welcome,
Okay.
welcome.
Thanks, Shola. Thank you, Shola, for the introduction. Really appreciate it. Okay, so yes, I think that I will just share a few tips. Or Shola, do you have something that you would like to hear from me specifically first?
Yeah, so I would say you share your story as well. Like starts like from where you can remember. When they say,
Okay.
where do I begin now? Just start from where you can remember.
Okay,
And then
great.
tell us that journey, particularly as it will benefit those who are aspiring to move to France.
Okay, great. All right, that works. All right, so basically, I moved to France about 7 years ago. So that was 2013. I moved here for my master's in a school called Grenoble École de Management. So it's Grenoble Graduate School of Business as well. So it's a business school. Actually, prior to that time, I had done my NYC program. I just completed my NYC program, and after serving, I decided I would go to French school in Nigeria. So I enrolled in Alliance Française. I enrolled in Alliance Française for a French course, and it lasted about 4 to 5 months. I actually was able to advance from the A1 level to the B2 level. So basically, that's for people that do not speak French or haven't gone to language classes. That's basically from conversational level, from beginners level to intermediate level. So in France, for instance, people generally tend to have to speak up to B1 level to be able to converse in their day-to-day activities or go to school or work. So basically, I was able to learn from the A1 level to B2 level in 4 to 5 months in Alliance Francaise in Nigeria. So basically, that was one of the things that shaped my got me exposed to France. And yes, so when I decided it was time to go for my master's, upon completing my NYC program and the Alliance Francaise program in Nigeria, I also thought that it would be a great idea to give France a shot. France had always, the French language had always been something I wanted to learn before I moved to France. And upon completing that program, like I said, I decided that, okay, it would be a great idea to actually try something new and apply for the French schools. So actually, it's funny because I applied to schools abroad, and like typical Nigerians, like we would do, we were more prone to go to schools in France, in the UK rather, and the US. But I decided that, okay, it would be a great idea to also apply to French schools. So I applied to schools in the UK, and then I applied to one school in France actually. So I got the admission in that one school in France, and I got several admissions in the UK as well. But upon receiving these acceptance letters, I decided that it would be good to go to the school in France for several reasons. So these are the reasons that I'd like to share with you guys today, and I hope that could also help you make informed decisions. So one of the reasons I wanted to move to France was, one, because of the language advantage. Knowing that we are in Africa, for instance, and we're in West Africa. West Africa is surrounded by Nigeria is surrounded by several French-speaking countries. And I thought that it would be an advantage even to think of if I would decide that I was going to move back home after my master's program, to be able to speak a second language where I would be able to, relate with people. I mean, we can see what is going on now with the AFTA free trade agreement in Africa, that, we're going to be one labor market, and basically people that come from francophone countries can come to Nigeria and access our jobs. And in the same way, I think that would be great for us to be able to access the jobs in francophone countries if we decide that we want to move. There are countries like Senegal, there are countries like Cameroon, there are countries like Niger, there are other countries in the Cote d'Ivoire specifically, like Ivory Coast rather, that are doing fairly well for themselves, and that we might actually want to consider. So basically, those are reasons that that's what the number one reason I decided to move to France, was because of the language advantage. And secondly, I thought that it would be great to also be able to have an opportunity to work abroad. And working abroad is something that France offers you as a student. So basically, my school has this program, which is similar to other schools, where basically after your first year of school studies, your second year, you get to work, do an internship. So that was one of the reasons I chose France, was because secondly, I get to have the opportunity to do an internship as part of my school's master's program. So the master's program lasts typically for 1 year for the first year. And then the second year, you're allowed to do your internship and your thesis, or do your internship or thesis. But in my case, I chose to do an internship, even though it wasn't obligatory to validate my program, but it was included as a bonus point, as an option. So that's the second reason I chose to move to France. And then thirdly, I chose to move to France because also it offers the opportunity to be able to access other European countries. Typically, you know that if you move to the UK, it used to be in the European Union before, but it's no longer the European Union. But even when it was a part of the European Union, as a foreigner, you were not allowed to travel to other European Union countries like the Schengen countries if you did not have a visa for these Schengen countries. So I thought about accessibility to other Schengen countries, and that's one of the reasons why I decided that, okay, France would be a good enough choice, because it gives me access to other Schengen countries, basically, that that would, enable me to explore and opportunities in terms of, job mobility in the future, and also, travel, which I enjoy doing too. So yeah, those are the reasons why I chose to move to France. And yeah, I think that would be great to also I would also like to share, how I did that move. So basically, in applying for the school, I did not have to do GMAT or GRE or TOEFL. I think that's one thing that we can also take advantage of, is the fact that France offers that opportunity. Some schools in France offer you that opportunity to be able to go to school without having to done the GRE exam or GMAT exam, or even prove that you are proficient in English, given that you're coming from an English speaking country. But you have to also check the requirements based on the school. And also it's up to you to also, a school might tell you that they accept IELTS exams, for instance, or TOEFL, but you have to just tell them, oh, that's sorry, I actually studied in English in my country. My country speaks English as their official language. So it's, English is my native language, is my official language / native language anyway. And yes, so I'm able to communicate in English proficiently. So if you can prove those cases, basically you will not have to do IELTS or TOEFL. Yeah, for GRE and GMAT, some schools actually do require you to do GRE or GMAT. Some schools like ESSEC, HEC, INSEAD, they require that you do the GRE or GMAT exam. But it might vary also from course to course. For some courses, they might not actually ask you to do that. So it's up to you to verify and be sure. But there's so many other schools that do not require you to do GRE or GMAT, such as my school, the Growing Up Ecole Management School. Okay, so that's one thing. And then secondly, how do you apply for schools? Now there are different, how do you find the schools to apply to actually? I think that's a good way to start. There is something called campus. Someone's asking how I spell my school. I'll type that out shortly. But feel free to drop in your questions in the chat box so I answer them as I go. Okay, so basically, for Campus France, we have to find a school rather, we have the Campus France website, or we have Campus France, basically the office in Nigeria as well. So Campus France is very helpful in the sense that Campus France enables you to search for courses that are taught in English in France. Because I think that's something that people primarily forget, is the fact that they can actually, not aware of rather, is that they can actually study in France in English. And there are over 1,000 programs that are offered, taught in English, master's programs that are taught in English in France. So basically you have access to this on the Campus France website. They have a dedicated portal for that. It's called Totti. I'll also put that. I'll be dropping links on these things in the chat box once I'm done speaking. Basically, so you can search for Campus France Totti, and you will see the courses that are taught in English in France. And yeah, I think that's very helpful. And otherwise, I generally advise people that it's best to learn how to speak French before you come to France, because when you learn how to speak French, it makes life a lot more easier for you in terms of administrative work, during your visa renewals. There's something called the prefecture, which is the administrative office in charge of foreign visas and foreign study permits, and foreign permits, basically in general, residence permits for all foreigners. So basically, and it's called the prefecture, just in case I'm going to use this word without knowing, I'm just explaining what it means at forehand. So anyways, with the prefecture, or the you need to know how to speak French, because they would require that you communicate with them in French. That's one of the things that you need to be ready for. So if you do not speak French, pre-COVID, they allowed you bring a translator with you, and post-COVID with COVID in view, actually, they allow you bring a translator too, but it's just that it's stricter.
And this is to Campus France interview or to the embassy interview?
Embassy. So the embassy here in France. Here
Okay.
in France. But before you come to France, basically you would be needing the help of Campus France to move to France. Because they are the body that is in charge of the education. Campus France is basically the body that's in charge of education for France, promoting education for France. So it's a French agency and they're around the world. And in Nigeria, they have their offices I think they have their offices in Yaba at the time when I was still in Nigeria. The embassy also requires that you do some things with them before. At the time when I was moving, they require that you do some things with them first before you apply for your visa. So they're very helpful. Okay, they're now in Osborne, actually. Thank you, Tosin. So basically, yes. So with Kaplan's France, you can get enough information. Their website is very detailed. I think that if you're going to study in France, you should spend time going through their website to check for your school, to check for advice, to check for tips and whatnot. So yes, so I think the first thing to note is that schools have their application process, their own application open from time to time. So I think it's typically from December to January that you can apply for a school in France. So you have to check the opening dates, that they open the admission process, and it typically ends in March. So that's one thing that you need to be ready for. So if you're applying for schools now would be a good time to ensure that you quickly get in your application before the application closes, because the decisions are made usually around April for the announcements. As Obinna mentioned, also it's good to consider options for scholarships. I didn't apply for a scholarship before coming because I wasn't aware at that time, which I would have loved to have applied for one. But yes, I wasn't aware at that time that there were scholarship options for France, typically because I just applied for one school in France and it wasn't really my main focus at the time. But yeah, I'll say that you should apply for scholarships. And like Obinna mentioned, there's the total scholarship, NNPC/total scholarship. And that one actually closes in 2 days. So you mentioned that it was closing soon, but it's actually closing in 2 days. So you might want to go to the Campus France website to check for that. Then you also have other scholarships like the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. That also is good because they allow you come to reputable French schools as well. The NNPC Total Scholarship is also very good. I have friends that have passed through that scholarship, and yeah, they're doing great things in France too. Because typically, some scholarships require you to come back to Nigeria after you get the scholarship. I don't know if they have changed the policy yet for the NNPC one, but I do have friends that have gotten the NNPC Total Scholarship and have stayed back in France. So that's something to check to make sure that when you're getting a scholarship, you know the terms and conditions, because there's some scholarships that typically require you to come back to your country. And if that's not what you want to do immediately in the short term, you want to be sure that you are fully aware of the terms and conditions of the scholarship. So yes, so I think that I've touched on some of the reasons. Yeah. And yeah, so I have some other tips to share, but I'll let other people do the talking first, and I'd be happy to share more.
By all means, I think in the second round where I come to you, I want to hear more about like how you found the internship and how you've transitioned from internship into work life in France. And it's been 7 years now. Obviously, you have learned a lot more, and then you've at least seen other people even take pathways that you wish you knew about then that will be useful for people today. I think it's really useful. But I want to thank you because you've been able to build on what Obinna started with by enumerating each and every like opportunity, even mentioning some of the schools. Thankfully, we have Toby here who, when she comes on board, she will talk about, because she wanted to talk about Campus France, and I'm glad that you started talking about it. So a good part of our work is done, is already done. And then because Toby's school is actually, the school she represents is actually taking admissions right now. And we run an artificial intelligence program. So, and this is not for everybody who is on this call, because not everybody is in science and engineering, but this school actually takes people who want to do artificial intelligence. essentially, and then she wants to share a few things about that. But before that, she would go backwards in time to share down the memory lane about like how she, decided to come back home to go to do an MBA at LBS and all of that. Then we'll come back to you, Ida, to talk about that work
Okay.
part, and then we answer some questions as we begin to tie it up, because I'm sure people have. I just want um, I want people to be able to get a better view on the fact that, you know, as you've said, unlike the other countries we've addressed, you have to apply to 10, 15, 20 schools. The US, you have sometimes 40 schools. In France, you heard Obinna said it, just about 3 schools, that's all he applied for his PhD. And then his result, his sort of like success came back, and Oida said it as well, because the schools are actually looking for people, and particularly across Europe, So it's your opportunity to just, and I keep telling people this, if you've been rejected 4 times by the US Embassy, 2 times by the Canadian Embassy, go to Europe. Go to Europe and start from there. It's relatively low barrier, not because it's bad, but because there are several ties that connect Europe and Africa, from the Commonwealth to the Francophone connections that she just talked about, and the fact that Francophone speaking countries or French speaking countries are generally looking to do more than the English speaking countries have done. So they want to give more incentives to get more people to come. At least that's what I've observed. And then she's talked about the commitment of learning language. Tosi Shokunbi is here. She's been training people for free on our Move Me in 12 platform. Over 450 people learn free French from her on our platform, and she runs specific classes as well that are Move Me in 12 classes, and we've done comparisons in the past about Alliance Française, the school she runs, and all of that, particularly during COVID, when many people can't go into a class physically. She runs those virtual classes, and that's just been contributing as well. I can't overemphasize the fact that being bilingual will definitely give you a better advantage when it comes to France. And that shouldn't be a barrier in your mind. It should be a clearer pathway. It should be, yes, I know one more thing that needs to be done for me to be able to get my foot in a country like France and become prosperous. So, Toby, where are you? Where's Toby now? Toby, if you turn on your video, I'll be able to find you. But also I'll search for you in the. Okay, I think it's because I'm spotlighting on you. Ida, thanks so much for that. I think that's really profound. Okay. Oh yeah, Toby, I just asked you to unmute now.
Yeah, I just did. I think what I might just do is to turn off my video. So probably we might just have better network. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Shola. Thank you guys once again. Thank you, Onida, and thank you, Obinna, for a very insightful conversation and presentation. And I was just talking about my story earlier, and how I graduated from Olabisi Onabanjo University, and I studied industrial and labor relations. And after school, I really knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that was it. I didn't have the ideal company that I wanted to work for. My ideal company that I wanted to work for was a company that was creating great products. I was doing good in the community. That was just what I wanted. And honestly, I didn't find at the time. So I started, I started working as a personal assistant to in an art gallery at the time in 2010. But because I always had this entrepreneurial drive and passion, one of my uncles found me, and he said to me, I really like, I like you as a young girl, and I really like what you're doing. I mean, whatever school you want to go to, I'm happy to send you there. So I was like, okay. Like that for me, that's a testimony. It's like whatever school. And honestly, each time I went to school went to Aja. I've always seen Lagos Business School. So Obinna and I have a tie there. I've always seen Lagos Business School. And each time I just look at the school and I'm like, I'm going to attend this school someday. I didn't know how that was going to come. My parents are retired. My family, my mom is in her 70s. So of course, nobody was going to pay, but I didn't know how how that was going to happen. And of course, this uncle saw this drive in me to actually be somebody, to actually push myself, the passion for the work, and just helping out in the community. And he said to me one day, he said, go get a form from Lagos Business School. And I'm like, no, I want to go to, at the time, I was into fashion and all of those things. And I said I wanted to go to London Fashion School. He said to me, no, you're not going to go to London Fashion School. That's too niche based. He said, for the kind of brain and things that I see that you're going to do. I mean, some people actually even see the vision before you actually see it yourself, And he said to me, for the kind of brain you have and the things I believe you would do in life, I think you need to have a management background. You have the overall business. I did not apply until about 2 days to the end of admission back then in 2013 to Lagos Business School. And he sent me, some of his younger friends, sister, they spoke with me. They said the MBA is great, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, not a problem. I decided to pick up the form at the Lagos Business School. And I applied to the Lagos Business School. I was called for the interview. I remember my interview very clearly, and they asked me what I wanted to be. Of course, I said I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. I said, what I think you want to do? I said, there's so much suffering. I said, there's so much suffering and poverty. I just feel like I can create great products and also do good work. It's like, oh, this is the kind of mind that they're looking for. I'm like, okay, I did that and I got into Lagos Business School. So in the second year at the Lagos Business School, we all have this opportunity to actually go on an exchange, to actually do an exchange at the Lagos Business School. And we had about six countries to pick from. We had Mexico, we had France, we had South Africa, we had the US, we had, I don't remember, India at the time. And yeah, so I was just looking through the second year. And I knew I wanted to major in marketing. That was, during the MBA, I realized this was my strength. I was not into the financial management class. I was not into the supply chain class, but the marketing class, you would find me there. You would find me participating in class. And, I was just so excited. And I was like, okay, I needed to, sharpen my skills, because in Lagos Business School, you typically specialize in your second year, but I wanted to do something more global. I just wanted to be, learn something, from on a very, have like some global experience and understand global practice. Even though they do that there, I just wanted to be in another space, another country, and my love for travel as well. So I chose France, and it was ESEC School of Management. That was what I chose at the time. And honestly, I was not the best in my class, I promise you. I didn't know if I was going to be chosen, because I had to go through that selective, selection as well. It was highly competitive. We had people apply, and the school would actually also do an interview on you. I didn't even have the best grades in class, but thankfully I was selected. And I moved to France with about 3 of my classmates as well. So yeah, that was how my journey to France and my affiliation with, and my love for the French culture started. And on getting there, it was just the idea that, people were warm. So see, this is very different from what you've heard about the French people. For me, you've heard that, they're highly hostile. You've heard that there's a lot of resistance. I had a different experience, or I have a different experience entirely, and this has shaped, my entire perception about the French culture and the French people. So, rather than even speak on the education, because we'll still go into that, I also want to talk about the French culture, because this is where we have the most resistance locally, And people say, oh, I don't understand the language. I promise you, till tomorrow, my French is still as basic. Now, this is not to say you don't have to learn French, especially when you're going to live there, and you have to be integrated in the culture. And they bring you in. For example, if you in my study during my exchange, I had to take French classes. I had to take French classes like every 2 or 3 days. I don't remember anymore. I did presentation in French, because they also want you to be a part of them. But I saw the kindness. Honestly, I saw the kindness of those people. One, that was very attractive to me. Two, the work-life balance. I'm sure Obinna and Oyinda can speak to this. The work life, but like they have a balanced life in France. I don't know where you have a smoke break. I don't know what country where you have a smoke break. I mean, I remember one of my friends during, it was ill at the time. We were going to the dentist and it was time for their break. They shut their doors and it's time for a break because they take this, there's this thing around work less, eat better, earn more, and increase the time you spend with your loved ones. They have that thing entrenched in them. And, that's why they can be termed as, one of the, one of the best places to live in or relocate. Yes, one of the best places to relocate, to live in or to retire is actually in France. And, there's this thing that started in 2000, just to take us back a bit. Some people say, okay, so what's the language? Can I live in France if I do not understand the language? Honestly, it would be you can, but it might just be harder for you. I lived there and I'm still on the cello momo. I'm still on the cello momo level. But, the beauty for me was, people were kind enough to, you at least as long as you get the basics, the bonjour, the bonsoir, just tell them the basic things and you not say that you don't understand the language. Je parle un peu français. I speak a little French. Once you say that, it's almost like a switch that, okay, so what do you want and what do you want to buy and things like that. And one of the things I say to some of the students that are going into France is this: do not forget where you're coming from. You are a hustler by spirit, the Nigerian spirit. Don't throw that away when you get to France. I mean, as long as you get there, you see the work-life balance and whatnot, but there's a spirit in you. That spirit should drive you to actually say you're coming into this land to be successful. And that was one of the things I said to myself, even though, so when I got after, I was going to spend 6 months for my international exchange. During that time, I spotted an opportunity, and this was the opportunity. I had a lot of free time because some of the classes in France would shock you. You can finish a whole class, like a whole course, I mean, in 1 week. That's intensive class. You can actually finish it in 1 week. Then you ask yourself, what do I do with my time? So I actually spotted an opportunity where we could have students with free time take on, manual jobs and stuff like that, especially international students. I saw a lot of my friends that, we had this spare time. I mean, we had little money. We wanted to go to Germany, wanted to go to Spain, Italy, but we still had a whole lot of time. What do you do with this time? I decided then to go to, one of the ladies I was into photocopying. I mean, that's what I always say, don't forget the Nigerian spirit. That was into photocopying in my area. And I said to her, I have this idea. Guess what? She told me to go to some agency with my idea. These are the opportunities that, moving into these first world countries provide for you. And she said, oh, go to this agency. I still have the man's card. He said, go to this agency and speak to them. Talk to them about your idea. I promise you, our language was not the same, like in terms of English and France, but she could point me to some agency that I could share my ideas with. And honestly, I went there, I shared my ideas. They said, oh, come back with your proposal and come back with a proposal to them. I went back with a proposal and I said to them, I would not be staying in France for a long time. So this is where I said, I wish I knew Obinna and Oyinda when I was going to school. At the time, when you get into France, you would have to get your residence permit, irrespective of what type of. I mean, as long as you're staying more than 3 months, you need to get the residence permit, even if you have a 1-year visa. So I'd gone to the OFI to get my residence permit. What I didn't know that that through that OFI, I could stay in France for a year. And all I needed to do was just go to the prefecture to renew my OFI. I did not know that. I did not know that. And sometimes I just so regretted that. Why did I pack my bags and just leave? And, one of the things, again, that I just want to say that you must do your research. These are some of the opportunities that, France actually gives to you. With the OFI, you can just keep going back to renew your residence permit. And I think, you can get your PR after 5 years. I'm sure Ida can speak more to that. But after 5 years, at least you must have spent at least 5 years in France to get your PR. And that's one opportunity that that Vancity gives to you. Imagine you do a program for 3 years or 2 years, and you stay 2 more years, within the job sector, or you get a job in 2 years. Within 5 years, 6 years, you can actually get your residence, your PR in France. Then also, one other thing that one other opportunity that I had at the time was, the fact that if you 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 can rightly position yourself for whatever opportunities or goals that you see. So when I was in France, I knew that I just loved this place and I wanted to be a part of them. I came back home and I started, my entrepreneurial journey. I started some of the first, one of the first food hub in Nigeria and things like that. But I was frustrated and tired at the time, and I said I wanted to go back into paid employment. So what do you do after 3 years of being an entrepreneur? Where do you go? So that is where my where I came back into, like, getting myself interested into the French work culture. I saw, because already attended a university in France, or a business school in France. What that gave me was the opportunity to be a part of the community called Friends of Nigeria. And also, Campus France has this community for students that have studied. Even if you went for 1 month, even if you studied for 1 month in France, you can be a part of that community. And every time you get an email for job opportunities, for job opportunities, for different opportunities with the French embassy, with the French people. And I saw this I saw this vacancy, and they said, oh, they're looking for a country manager at the time for EM Lyon Business School. EM Lyon Business School is one of the top 4 business schools in France. And so, honestly, it had been sitting in my inbox for like 3 months. And what I did was, I was like, okay, I'm just going to try. And what I did was I put in my application. I promise you, in less than 1 week, they got back to me. They set up an interview. I did a WhatsApp interview. So I'm just trying to open you up to the culture and how, French people, my experience with the French people. I did a WhatsApp interview, and because of course I had network problem, I was supposed to be on Zoom, but he said, you know what, we can move it to WhatsApp if you want. And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind WhatsApp. And I did a WhatsApp interview. The next week, I got my appointment. I got my appointment letter. I was really, really excited, about that. And guess what? I was paid in euros. I was not paid in naira. So I'm also letting you know that even if you decide not to stay in France, you still have that, that when I say the lifetime value of a customer, that the company stays with you till the end, like till the end of your life cycle. That is what the French education actually offers you. They are with you from even if it's just 1 month you spend studying in France, and they would stay with you. You follow up. Oida already mentioned Campus France. I don't want to go through it. With Vancity, we have a very strong relationship with Campus France. We just even recently had a meeting. They're training a lot of our agents, and I'm at the center of that, ensuring that our agents are rightly they have the right knowledge to be able to guide our prospective students on how to get into France and how to get their visa and whatnot. Lastly, I think what I just want to add is that in 2000, the European Council, they came together in Lisbon, and they set up they set up 2 objectives. And what was this objective? They said they wanted to create a competitive and dynamic knowledge-based economy. Please, that's the key word, knowledge-based economy. And the second thing was that they wanted to drive economic growth with better jobs and social cohesion. And how did they say they were going to achieve this? They were going to do this through skilled and educated migrants and simplifying immigration funnels. Skilled and educated migrants and simplifying immigration funnels. And that is why you see a lot of schools in France are actually coming to Africa, Ghana. They're coming to Ghana. We are doing a lot of work right now. I was telling Shola that my portfolio has actually expanded from just Nigeria and Ghana to the English-speaking part in Ethiopia of East Africa, which is Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, and my work has extended to that. And I have autonomy of work. That is for me, I mean, there's a lot of, because honestly, they, as long as you position yourself right, I say it again, do not forget the Nigerian spirit in you. As long as you position yourself right, and you don't see all of those nuances like language as a barrier. I mean, it's great to be bilingual. I still want to be bilingual. I'm still attending French classes. I have a friend that is taking me in French. Excuse me, but you don't see that limitation. You do not see, you're not limiting yourself, and you see that these guys are open. They are open to accepting you. They want migrants, and there are a lot of, they have an aging population. You can go in even through the talent passport permits. That's another ball game entirely that, but time might not permit us to talk about it. But as long as you rightly position yourself within the French, like, for the opportunities that are available, you would get it. And I think that's what I'm enjoying now. I mean, just to chip in, my salary is actually even paid in euros. I mean, that's something that you get out of this. I mean, I have the opportunity to tell them, I can go for trainings anywhere. I mean, if not for the coronavirus, do you understand? Last year I was supposed to go for my training in France, and these are some of the opportunities that you can get to work with. And there are a lot of websites I can share with you that you can also find jobs, in the French, in France, as it were. And there are also opportunities to also get jobs in Europe as well. I mean, I just don't want to, keep going over this, because you can tell that I have a thing. I have a thing for the French people. But if there are any questions, maybe about Vancity, I'm sure Shola would ask me questions around Vancity. Then I would talk more about
lovely session. That was Power Parks, putting it all together like that. Amazing stuff. I'm super glad to see that you were able to put it all together in such a short time. I'm always for that balance. I'm always for that balance. Toby is saying to you guys, the language cannot be a barrier for you. Do not allow it to be a barrier at this beginning to get in. And of course, Oida is telling you that to now continue to stay in France afterwards, you would need that language to be able to integrate completely into the society, and that's the balance right there. So just like if you live in China, at first, if visiting China and maybe taking an education in an English-speaking school in China, you can definitely go on and have a fabulous life. But once you're done with the program and now you want to sort of like, be more integrated into the society, into that society, then you're going to need much more than that initial first level of conversational French for you to be able to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So I feel that we've been able to achieve some good points here to go into a discussion. And I have a couple of questions, that I would ask as well. Just a moment ago, you mentioned, Toby, the Talent France program. Basically, oh my God. You see, in all our different programs, we've talked about the United States Extraordinary Ability Visa.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the United States Extraordinary Ability Visa. We've talked about the UK Tech Nation Visa. We've talked about the UK Tech Nation Visa. We've talked about the US Extraordinary Ability Visa. We've talked about the Ireland or the Irish Special Researcher Visa. Now, France also has their own. I'm always doing that French France thing. But anyway, that's why France has their own as well. I just got the URL, and I just shared it in the link, and I'll share it on Telegram as well. You can see it there, like they have the guidelines. Your visa is going to be marked researcher, and it can be for up to 5 years. So all of these places just want valuable people to be able to come. But at least for those of you who, okay, I'm not an outstanding researcher, I'm not an inventor, I don't have a patent, I've not won awards, it's not everybody that's at that level, then start with the education pathway because it gets you in. And then when it gets you in, you put your leg in, and then you can begin to make stuff happen. Toby is still going to share the link. So she's going to share the link right now while I ask Oyinda this question. She's going to share a couple of links. And there's a link I had shared before for France. If you're applying to AI Vancity, I'm going to send you a link on our group that you need to fill. but Toby is going to send you the direct link today. So go on and fill the direct link, fill the direct expression of interest, download the brochure, learn more about the school AI Vancity. But I will, in our Telegram group, share another form for anybody who will be applying, only because we want to be able to track, support you, because there's other people applying as well, and we want to be able to make sure that you're following all of the guidelines that needs to be followed. But talking about putting your feet on the ground, through an internship in France. Oyinda, how did you find your internship? And do you know any friends or any other persons who are also, maybe in this outstanding, visa category that we talked about, some of the talent France, and if not, just elucidate on getting an internship and being able to stay back in France to become somebody who is now, I feel like you should speak some French. It's really a fantastic language. I feel like I should hear you speak some French. Tosin, whenever Tosin is speaking French in our classes, it's always sweet to my ears. Yeah, I just asked you to unmute now.
Okay, great. All right. So yes, there are different ways to find internships in France. Basically, the one, for instance, for my first internship, it was based on applying on the portal, just going to the company's website, and I applied. So my first internship was at Airbus, the manufacturers of airplanes. So basically, yes, I applied on their website, and I was able to get the internship basically. And then prior to that, I had interviewed for a company had contacted me based on a website that my school uses to make CVs. It's funny because the website is primarily for making CVs. It's called doyoubuzz.com. So it's just an online template that is used for making CVs. And they had contacted me based on my publication of my CV on the website. So the company was a market research, that's the second company that contacted me, was a market research company focused on Africa. And because of their niche, they were looking for someone that was Anglophone and that was, that knew about Africa. So that was one way, again, I got contacted for an internship. So that was my first internship. Otherwise, for my other job opportunities that I got, I was able to apply, I was able to get, I was able to apply on job boards. So for instance, we have job boards like indeed.fr. So it's a website, www.indeed.fr. We also have other websites that are very known, but once you get into France, I could always share the information with you if you need to know more about applying to companies here. Basically, I think another way to get jobs is referral from people that have done internships in those companies. So basically, that have worked in those companies. So don't feel free to contact people on LinkedIn, because companies here in France are also very informal. They like to know that, do you know somebody that's worked with you? Do you have a colleague that can vouch for you? Someone that has schooled with you, like that, can vouch for you? Or do you know somebody personally that can also vouch for you? So don't be shy to go on LinkedIn and send somebody a DM and say, okay, fine, can you kindly refer me to your manager? That's also a way I got a job offer. I also got a job offer in in Luxembourg, and that was purely by referral from another student that had done my master's program for me. So she referred me to her manager, and I got the job opportunity in Luxembourg, which is another country in Europe. It's a smaller country, so I'm sure some people might not even have heard of it, but it's a very good country to consider.
Luxembourg the other day, the fact that coming to do some people just think that coming to do their masters in France limits the opportunity to only France. And we keep telling people that no, that's not it. Like, it doesn't limit it. It could be on a weekend that you'll go with some friends to another country, via a train, and then you come back and find out that you can find a job opportunity there. And some of these smaller countries, even in Eastern Europe, are trying to hire people who went to school in like main countries like France and Germany.
Exactly. So one thing I would advise is that if you come to France, basically you can also look at apply for internships in other countries around France. Like, for instance, Germany. Germany is very open to people that come from various backgrounds. They're open to international students, international professionals. And yes, so they take a lot of, so if you school in France, for instance, and you decide, oh, I want to do an internship in Germany, I want to do an internship in Luxembourg, that's something that's a possibility. You can also want pursue job opportunities in other European countries. So if you say, oh, fine, France is not for me, for certain reasons, whatever they might be to you, then you can say, okay, I want to move to Germany. Then you can move to Germany, you can move to Luxembourg, you can move to other countries in the EU space, because it's easier to also do your work permit from Europe, because you just go to the embassy, to their own consular rather, in the country, and then you're able to process your visa from there. But otherwise, one thing you should note is, like Tosi mentioned, actually, after 5 years, you are eligible to become a citizen in France. And basically after 2 years, they say it's actually, according to the law, after 2 years of doing a master's in France, you are eligible to apply for nationality. So it's not actually 5 years, but 2 years for if you do a master's. But the thing is that they also require the French government also requires to see that you have integrated well into the system. So you stand a better chance of not being rejected if you have gotten at least 18 months of professional work experience. So basically 18 months of professional work experience, 2 years of a master's, you stand a better chance. Not saying that they may not have other reasons not to, but also if you come to France, I'd advise that you also declare your taxes from the first year. You declare your taxes and you say that, okay, fine, if you haven't made any income in that year, you declare 0 for your taxes. The French government just wants to see that you are very, that you're upright with your declarations, and that you are straightforward with your declarations. So even if it was 0 that you declared the first year and the second year, that's still fine. But as long as they can also see that after a couple of years that you've gotten very well integrated into their system, they'll be happy to give you open up their doors to you.
What does that? Can you double click on when they see that you are more integrated? What does that integrated mean? Does it mean that you now have rented a house, you have a job, you file taxes? What is that thing that they use to determine whether
so basically, if you have worked for, people typically say from 18 months, typically worked for about 18 months, that is 1 year and a half, professionally, and you've gotten stable income, which is above the SMIC. The SMIC, which is the minimum wage, the French minimum wage, is 1,539 euros, so per month. So basically, that is the average amount of salary that you need to have gotten, that your employer needs to give you. It's mandatory by the law that they do not pay you less than that. So if you've been in paid employment and you have stayed in paid employment for about 18 months,
that's about 18,000. That's about 18,400 euros.
Yeah, per year. Exactly.
Year.
Exactly. So if you've gotten around that, but usually, given that you're a master's student, you should be paid way above the SMIC. You shouldn't be paid. That should not be the average remuneration that you get. The average remuneration can be about starting from about 35,000, 33,000, 30,000, and varies according to your degree, according to requirements, the job requirements, and can go up to like 50,000 for like an entry level job. So from, let's say, 30,000 to 50,000, depending on your degree. We have what in France, for instance, it's called, we have the Bac plus 5, which is the master's degree. So that's what is typically seen as the what's it called? That's what most jobs actually require now in these days. You have Bac plus 3. Sorry, Bac plus 3 is the university, and then Bac plus 5 is the what's it called? Master's degree. And master's degree is typically what is now required for most entry-level jobs in France, which is just funny, because mostly people tend to go to do their Bac plus 5, which is the master's degree. So that has now become a norm in the recruitment process. Not saying that you will not find jobs that are Bac plus that are from bachelor's degree. So let me digress actually and go back a little bit further, a little bit advanced. sorry, that's my French coming in.
Mhm.
Let me go a bit forward rather, and talk about the fact that in France, you have different types of degrees that you can do when you're coming to France. You can come from because you have studied in Nigeria, and Nigeria, our degrees are actually for 4 years, and that is considered somewhat at the level of back plus 4, which does not really exist in France. Back plus 4 is the equivalent of doing like the first year of your master's, because the master's program in France is 2 years. So you have M1 and M2. So M1 is the first year of the master's program, and M2 is the second year of the master's program. So the first year of the master's program, if you had studied in Nigeria, for instance, you can be exempt from doing the M1 because you have studied a 4-year degree, because their own university program is actually typically for 3 years. So that's back plus 3. That's what I was mentioning earlier. So if you have studied in Nigeria and you've done a BSc, you can basically go to the M2 directly. But if you go to the M2 directly, you might just not be able to do an internship as well if it's just a 1-year program. You might have to just do a third program and not have the experience of going to doing an internship combining the degree. So that's one option. The second option is doing an M2, doing the 2-year master program, like the one I did, which was first year for studies, second year for thesis slash what's it called? Okay, someone says I'll start from M1. Okay, so basically, yeah, you can start from the M1 and do an internship after that. There's another thing called alternance. So that one is where you can work and study at the same time. So typically for people that come, if you say you're coming to do your bachelor's degree here in France, to continue the bachelor's degree here in France, it's advisable to actually do an alternance after, because the alternance is considered like a professional contract where you are working and studying at the same time, and that's typically paid more than the internship. You are paid like the average salary of a standard worker. So you can be paid as much as 2.5, even more than that sometimes, varying on the company. You can be paid around 2,000. So whereas for a standard internship, you're paid 600 euros, starting from 600 euros and above to about an average of 1.5, typically. So yeah, I'd be happy to answer more questions if we have concrete questions.
I don't know, Obinna. Obinna, you made it. Thanks for that, breaking it down that way. Obinna, I don't know if you wanted to add something at this point, or you want to, because I know that this is quite connected to what Toby is also saying. So Toby, from an AI Vancity standpoint, given the fact that Oida has explained like what that program looks like, can you use the AI Vancity program as well to describe that a little more? So for AI Vancity, I know you also have the +3, +4 kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Shola and Oida. So with AI Vancity, we have 2 English taught masters program. We have the PGE, which is actually the 3 years program, and we also have the 1-year masters program. I mean, like Linda said, with the 1-year master's program, you would not have the opportunity to actually do an internship. And if your goal is to actually stay and be integrated in France, it's best if you go through the PGE path. So with the PGE, you can come in with back +2 or back +3. That means you must have like post. So baccalaureate is like the secondary school. So you must have post 2 years of academic experience, and post 2 years secondary school experience. So typically the equivalent here in Nigeria would be you have an OND or a diploma certificate, or you already have 2 years in the university in any university, or 3 years in any university. And with that, you're going to be on the 3 years master's track. So you start from year 1, you do year 2, but your 3rd year, as Oinda also, I wanted to say explicated. As Oida explained, it's going to be a work study program. So typically, what the kind of partnership we have is that the companies would actually pay for your final year, and whilst you work and you study. So you do 1 week of study and 3 weeks of work with the organization, and they can pay you stipends like, like 1,000 to 1,500, as Orinda also said. So you can ask me, so what if I have a BSc already? How do I get into Avon City? You can come into the master's program in the second year if you already have a BSc. So that is, you already have a back +4 or back +5. That is, you've done 4 years of university, or you've done 5 years of university. I think this would apply to engineering students, maybe architecture and things like that. So you can come into Avon City in the second year. So that means you would pay only one tuition fee. You would do 2 years, you pay only one tuition fee, and your final year is going to be a work study program. And Avon City we're setting up, we're really setting up our students up for employment. I mean, our goal is that at least 90% of our students will be employed on or before graduation, which is why from when you get into school, you're going to be involved with capstone project. Our capstone project is called AI Clinic, which means that you take on up to 3 months of work on a particular project with these organizations that we have partnered with. I mean, this already begins to integrate you into the French work culture, getting involved into the work language, and understanding the business terrain better. And you do that for 2 years before you go on into your specialization in the final year, and that means that's already set you up in the workspace. I also want to mention about cultural integration, because that's very, very important anywhere, wherever you're going to. For us, like I said, employability is very key for Avon City, for anyone that comes through our door or through our school. We're looking forward to, not just setting you up for the Europe, for the Europe economy. We're also setting you up for global relevance, which is why when you come into school at Avon City, you're going to learn French as a language, but you would also learn Mandarin. So this is you coming to become like, imagine getting like understanding, having full work, a full working knowledge of 3 languages. You have English, you have French, and you can speak Mandarin as well. I mean, you're set up for global opportunities already and global success. So that's something Avon City also offers you. And you might also say, oh, what's different between Avon City, School of Technology, School of Engineering, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Avon City is at this intersection of technology, business, and society. Remember, I mean, Oyinda spoke about having an MBA. I also spoke about having an MBA and things like that. But typically what you get at the School of Technology is more technical subject. But at Avon City, you would have your technical subject, things around your artificial intelligence, data science, visualization, Power BI, and those things. But imagine getting an MBA and an MSc. So you're coming to class, you're learning supply chain management, you're learning financial management, you're learning marketing, you're learning digital marketing, inclusive of your technical program. You're learning HR, which this is already setting you up for success in any sector. This is already setting you up for success. Imagine, becoming an HR specialist, but you have this advantage of, you have expertise in artificial intelligence and data science. You can use that to drive growth if that's your specialization. And this is what makes Avon City very different. That's why they call us the premier school for artificial intelligence in France and in Europe. I don't know, Shola, if that has this says actually
like, I didn't hear me. I was like, come on now.
Yes.
I think we're still going to have more AI Vancity sessions, particularly with people who are more tech inclined. But today, at least, we've been able to introduce it. A couple of people on YouTube are asking for your Twitter handle and all of that. We're going to share some contacts on the Telegram group, because on YouTube, that's like so public. and want to be careful with that. But your Twitter handle is obviously something you can share, and then if you share it in the chat, I will paste it on YouTube for everybody to see. Obinna, do you have some thoughts around this before I begin to take YouTube questions? Because there are some questions from YouTube that actually connect to you, Obinna, like people asking about third class and all those kind of things and whether it affects anything. But Obinna, do you have some thoughts to speak on this? These two ladies they've done a fabulous job. We the guys today, we are just here, just watching you two. You ladies are on fire today. We really appreciate it. Obinna, do you have some thoughts? Let me unmute right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, Obinna, did you want to say something?
Well, I think the ladies have actually done excellently well. There are lots of things that, because of my track, because of the kind of school I went to, I am currently in for the PhD program. I haven't really gotten into all the dynamics of finding an internship and understanding all the different dynamics going on within the French community. So I'm actually happy that Oyinda and
Toby,
pardon.
Toby.
Yeah, Toby, sorry. Yeah, Oyinda and Toby are here, and they have really done justice to the different ramifications of the opportunities that exist. So I am not adding anything to what they have said.
Second. Awesome, awesome, Obina. I think that makes a lot of sense. That they have really touched many of the issues. So I would say that let's quickly go on those questions, and I'll ask a few questions now, and I'll direct it to the ladies real quickly. I think that there's a question here. The first one, this question can go to any of us. Actually, we can all unmute. We can all stay unmuted. The first question here is that somebody says, "Are culinary courses taught in French universities if I am applying to study a culinary course?" That's the first question. Second is, can a graduate with third class apply? And then the third one, I will take it. I will take it three. Is how easy is it to come with one's family to France? So those three questions, I would ask any one of us to take it. Let's go.
Okay, Shola, let me just, this might be, I mean, I hope I'm not fired tomorrow because of this, what I'm about to say, because of course I'm supposed to be talking about
Try not to say the
Vancity. But yes, there are schools you can go through the culinary path if that's what you have if that's what you want to do. I used to be the country manager for Lyon Business School. Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not fired. I used to be the country manager for Lyon Business School, and they have this course for hospitality management, and it's in partnership with a very well-renowned culinary school in France. So yes, you can actually go through you can go to a culinary school in France and start your journey from there. Just find the right school for you. I mean, like Rita already mentioned, you need to do a lot of research. What schools would absorb you with a kind of certificate, what you already have, what you already do. I mean, and just but I know with Lyon Business School, you can go through the hospitality management. That's something rather than just saying culinary. They would teach you everything. I know there's another school in Europe. Oh God, the name it's in Spain. It's very well. It's in Italy. Sorry, very well known. They also have a course in food and winery, and you can actually take such courses. So yeah, I just wanted to answer that first part. I hope I'm not fired, guys.
Yeah, just to add to what you have said, Toby, there's actually a gentleman called Nonso. If you look him up, what he does is he produces Zobo drink in France. And so when I say it like that, it looks like a simple thing, but I tell you, it's big business. Just check him out on truecar.fr. And he's won several awards across Europe. And he's been telling me of a culinary school. I'm trying to find the name, which I'll drop here. He's actually working very closely with them because I think that's where he finished, and I think he teaches there. So he's also an entrepreneur, like a well-known entrepreneur right now across Europe. If you check on his website, chuka.fr, you see like a range of hibiscus flower drinks. That's what they call Zobo drink actually. So he bottles these and supplies to malls all across the place. So a lot of these culinary schools provide courses, but they also provide like a management side to it, so that you can learn how to make a business out of it. And don't forget that France is actually known for food, especially like south of France. In fact, many cities of France have like a signature dish. So if you're thinking culinary, I think France is a really good place to do that.
Awesome, awesome. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, what about the question of bringing your family? Anybody wants to answer that? Maybe Onida can do that, considering the fact that she's been here for 7 years. I believe you have family there now.
Okay, so basically to bring in your family, I think that if you have the adequate resources, if you can show that you have adequate resources to cover the expenses of your family, France allows you to bring in your family, your family actually. Was that clear?
Awesome, awesome. So that resources means cash, like
Yes, exactly. Cash.
means cash flow,
Yeah, bank
it also means
statements,
livelihood, source of livelihood.
source of livelihood to make.
Yeah, because sometimes they don't just take like bam cash. Sometimes they're like, do you have a paying job? Have you been like, maybe again they will evaluate those things you were talking about around like the whether you have a job that is above the SMIC and all those kind of things.
Exactly. And
Something tells me I'm going to need a second France session. And let me tell you why. Unlike Germany and some of the other places, I think maybe it's just the language or anything. It sort of creates a mental, even for me, who has like, who believes that I can live everywhere. I can move to Australia tomorrow. Yet there's still this mental sort of blockage that I think that if I'm feeling, many of these guys might be feeling. Unfortunately, some people don't find the conversation particularly as interesting because of that all the details that we're giving and the difference in the system from the Commonwealth system. Do you understand? And what I say to people is that this is a proof that the competition won't be as stiff, because if you choose this kind of pathway that seems like not many people are going to, then you're going to make a great life. I don't know, like you're going to be able to take on something that is not overly crowded, like the way people would 600, 700 people get interviewed, who knows, daily at the Lagos embassy for the US. I mean, think about that.
True.
Think about that. One year I was invited to the World Economic Forum on Africa or something, or Shape Africa in South Africa. And because I really cared and I was going to be presenting at that conference, do you know I stood in the rain in front of VFS in Lagos, in Lekki? I stood in the rain. This time around, I was already a manager at Microsoft. I stood in the rain. Of course, now I know better. Like there are all kinds of VIP services that won't make me stand in the rain today. But I'm just trying to tell you how much inhumaneness that people have to go through just to get to some of these countries that are oversubscribed. And the fact that, and if there's anything I feel fulfillment about, is to be able to show people all these other pathways that others are not paying attention to. But those pathways wouldn't be as easy as just something a document. They would take a little more. They would take you sitting down and understanding how this works. They would take you going on and downloading the brochure. Toby, if you can go on and share that link you shared with me earlier for AI Vancity, please share it on the group now.
Already did.
You already did, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
there's someone who is helping to collate some of those, so I will share them as well on the Telegram. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if any of your questions are not answered, please go on and ask them on the Telegram eventually, because I think I will tie this up earlier today, because I haven't gotten up to 3 hours sleep in the last 24 or 48 hours. It's crazy, but I'm still trying to get my energy on, and I'm thankful to all my speakers for making this happen. You know what I'm saying? So we have a responsibility, people, beyond just listening to these things, to go research a little more, to go find out about this. Obinna has sent me this total scholarship you were talking about, Onyida. That total scholarship, Obinna just sent it to me, and I've sent it to the Telegram group because we can't, for some reason, we're unable to upload it on Zoom here. For those of you watching us on YouTube, if you're on the Telegram group, you will find it there. All of these opportunities are there for you to be able to take on. And for AI Vancity, you've heard it from Toby's mouth herself, that the year one is all you pay for. Is year two is going to be paid for by the company that hires you. Very similar to what Oyinda said when she was asked to choose the option of internship or thesis. And obviously, as a Nigerian and as somebody who is aspiring for work and better living, she chose the work. Okay, and that's, of course, in many ways, even me, I'll choose work over thesis because it gives me more practical insight. And maybe you did not hear when she said she worked with Airbus. You know, the kind of companies you dream to work for. Even if you are good, you are spiritual, you are prayerful, you cannot be hired by Airbus in Abuja because Airbus does not have office in Abuja. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying about potential. When people say, I'm okay with Nigeria, or I'm okay with this, or if your goal is to work with Boeing, Boeing doesn't have an office in Nigeria. You can be hired from Nigeria, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's the fact that she was in France that she was able to even think about, applying to a company like that. It just changes your worldview and your opportunities begin to expand. I don't know what you do for work today, Onyeda, but it might be good to share as well because this group of people are very aspirational. And I keep saying that aspiration is fantastic, ambition is great, but we all have to walk the ropes to be able to get it there. So in discussing some of your final words, gentlemen and gentlemen and ladies, it will be great to sort of like tie it up together. Let me see if we have a few more questions because you two people will just kill me. Yeah, if I don't have those questions. The same question like Shegun Ojo asked, what if you're a graduate with B2 in French, but you have third class? I make shoes and fashion accessories. What's the way forward? Well, I will answer part of the question. Third class is just a class, and it's a Nigerian class. If you apply and you have a good statement of purpose with many of these schools, you will be able to demonstrate that it was peculiar circumstances that made you to have a third class. I don't know if Onyeda or any of the other people who have actually schooled, because I have not schooled in France, who have actually schooled in France, maybe they'll be able to tell us, oh, no, France will never take anybody that is third class. But I doubt it. Anybody wants to chime in on that? Okay, I think, let's see. Okay. I'm sorry. Anybody was chiming on that?
Okay. So basically, I think that France is more liberal when it comes to grades. So they're more liberal. So if you had a third class, I think that's nothing to deter you or to make you feel discouraged. I think you should apply to schools, and you just see that you might get very, very lucky and get one or two schools even contact you to say, yes, we want you. Because France is more liberal, they try to also see other things that you have done aside your school, so you can show that, oh, fine, I speak French, I also have these other skills to offer, I have these other so people go beyond degrees now these days to say, what else can you offer, what else can you bring to the table? So my advice to you would be to just apply.
Onyeda's advice is just apply because many times they are liberal. For the AI Vancity program, for example, yes, they want people that are excellent, but if you can pass through like a data science and AI program, like the one we run at CovenWorks or any of the programs you find around, if you can partake of that and you prepare for the interview readiness, there is a very strong chance that you will be, there's a very strong chance that you're going to be taken into the program without even having that. Obinna wanted to say something. Obinna.
Yes, I just wanted to also add to what Oyinda said. Yeah, it's true. You shouldn't limit yourself, especially if you can show that it's just peculiar circumstances. If in your final year you have like a little bit of a different story, then you can let them know that okay, this is not actually. So you can just highlight that last part and then use that to sell yourself. But I also can agree that it might be a little bit more challenging. For example, the total scholarship already states that it has like a minimum kind of threshold before you can apply. But if you have a compelling story, especially if you are going to a business school, for example, and you have like a track record of either entrepreneurship or um, having worked in an organization and have done a little bit of management, then you can use that to support your story. And I trust that you should get a chance.
Yeah, so I know that for the scholarship part. So I know the person wasn't asking just for scholarship, they were asking for the issue of admission. For the scholarship part, because that's why it's called scholarship. Like the guy who was cramming and pouring on campus while the rest of us were doing other things, has a right to, be able to go through that scholarship in the way that Total has defined it, which is like you have to have a 2-1, you have to have a first class. If you have a third class, you can't explain your way through that particular scholarship criteria. However, there are scholarship programs that are based on leadership skills, based on like other things, being indigent. Some of them are based on being indigent. So you might be able to find those kind of programs. But in terms of admission, don't let it limit you, because if you're able to show that in your final year or during your industrial training, you have 4.5 or 5 dots, your circumstances are changed, and you can write and talk about how you were distracted in the first few years of school, or how you faced serious economic hardship, which is common to most Nigerians, and that can help you to be able to scale through. I'll take a few more questions. And what is the job opportunity like for software engineering relocating to France? I think the case is the same with Germany and all the other countries. Instead of using Indeed.com, go and use Indeed.fr. When using Indeed.fr, or find a way to change your what do they call that thing now? Is it your come on now, your VPN, right? Find a VPN service that can allow you to see France listings, France jobs on LinkedIn, and maybe do a translate on Google Translate, and then start applying for jobs in France. Okay, because actually France also allows you to process work permits locally from Lagos if you have a job offer from France. And the company that is hiring you as a software engineer, because you are solid and you're a software engineer, they are definitely going to support you with their legal team, like we discussed during the Germany class. So I don't think France is different from that. How can one with masters in public health get PhD admission? Obinna, do you want to answer that? I think how to get it is by applying only now. You have to apply. Obinna, I've asked you to unmute. I've asked everybody to unmute. Maybe you guys should not unmute. 3 of you, maybe you should not mute yourself again. Just stay like that.
Yeah, I think I've just gotten used to clicking that mute button when I'm done talking. So
I know,
I
right?
would learn not to click on it. Yeah, like you said, it's just apply. Sometimes you don't even y- just y- so the strategy I had when I applied to this school was, well, let me just give it my best shot. So a lot of times you may think that you need to, maybe, yeah, you should research the school, you should know a little bit about it. But if your primary motivation is that, well, this is an opportunity, let me give it all I've got. Okay, let me cite a story. I was applying to a business school, and they said, send us your thesis, your master's thesis, as part of your application package. And you know what I did? Because I did a master's in chemical engineering, I sent them my chemical engineering thesis. And I knew they wouldn't make sense of it. But I just put it there, and I put a page in front of it, and I said, I'm sending you this thesis just to show you a sample of how I write. You may not be able to make much sense out of it, but this is just my thesis. And if there's anything, you should at least have a sense of how I write. And that's what I sent. And somehow these guys just felt, okay, yeah, that's convincing. And then so I think just apply and give it your best.
I like that. At the end of the day, it's about you taking charge. You are like in charge. You're like crafting the narrative, because it's human beings who review these things. So you are sending it. I mean, many times, because we're trying to seek for something and we need it so desperately, we sort of like feel like it's a god that is behind all of this, but it's just one admission officer who is just doing their job. Who want to take a look at this, and they would be happy to read like your exceptions and whatever it is that you're asking for, to be able to see what exactly should be the reason why they should bring you into that kind of program. So by all means, go ahead and take control of the narrative. Toby, Oyinda, do you guys want to add something?
Yeah, I think I would add to the tech one for the software engineer question.
Great, great.
So basically, there's also a tech visa, like I think you were mentioning earlier, Shola, that
Yeah.
is so we have the La French tech visa, basically, and that enables you come from Nigeria to come and set up your startup in France. And you can look for more details, go to their website, lafrenchtechvisa.com. I think I'll drop the link on the chat box afterwards. Also, as a software engineer, I have a friend, for instance, who had come from Nigeria directly for a job opportunity in France. He came to work with the Rocket Jumia's group, basically, at the time. That was about 5 years ago. Now he's relocated to Dubai for another position there too. But I know that in tech, for instance, they are open to recruiting people for that come from different countries, Nigeria included. So you can apply for job opportunities like Shola mentioned earlier by going to Indeed.fr or going to LinkedIn and checking for jobs that are in France. So I think that's a good one to do for the software engineer. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any more questions.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to add to the third class question as it relates to Vancity. So yes, we've talked about Vancity looking for excellent students, but however, we are open to accepting people from different backgrounds. So this is a question I get all the time. I didn't study engineering, neither did I study mathematics or statistics or computer science. We're open to you if you studied economics, marketing. We have someone that just applied. She studied English language, but what the advantage that she has is she's gone to a boot camp like Shola's boot camp, and she's gone to one of those AI boot camps, and she was actually able to show during her interview her interest and her motivation for actually being in this space. I promise you, she's not gone in depth. She actually did just 1 month at the boot camp, and already the admission team sent me an email and they said she has an amazing profile. So
No
I don't
way.
want you.
No way. No
Sorry,
way. Funsho, are you
I'm
there?
not kidding.
Funsho, are you there?
Yeah.
Funsho is the program manager for the AI program out right now.
Yeah.
Somebody has not even finished the program. I'm sending you guys a link of the AI program because that is a prerequisite sort of to get into like
Yeah.
the program.
Yes. And
Once
they said
people
to me,
know
"Oh,
what
she has an amazing profile, and she ranks high on the list of those that will be admitted." Although I've not spoken to her about this, but this is like good. This was like good news for me because we're really worried about our English language background. And I also wanted to say something too as well with the background. That is why we have a 3 years program. So even if you've not done anything in artificial intelligence during your interview, if you can actually support your make your intentions known with so much passion. I mean, French people are passionate, and you know what you're saying. It's more about your logical reasoning and the value that you can add to the class. So you might actually be recommended or be advised to start from year one. That should not also bother you because you will just do 2 years, then the final year, your work study. Already within that 3 years, you already understand the language, you're also integrated. You've actually even begin to define your path in France. So you can, I mean, Oida mentioned something about the entrepreneurship part or something. If that's what you want to do, there are visas or permits that would allow you to set up your business in France. I mean, I think Obinna also talked about someone that is selling Zobo. Just come up with something innovative, and you can actually get a permit to actually start your business and stay in France and grow your business. And with software engineering, I mean, you have an amazing part already coming to Vancity, and the opportunities for you to get a job, as well in the tech space. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to add that.
I don't know. Like sometimes I feel like, look, sometimes I feel like I could live in more countries than one, because I just totally I'm nomadic, and once my kids grow up, I think we'll live in 5 more countries. Who knows? But basically I'm just super, super happy. I have this team of knowledgeable people, friends who have come online today to share with all of you. And I want to give you guys some time back. I know I promised 2 hours, 30 minutes, but I'll give you guys some time back. And also I need to get some rest. I know my speakers here as well. But I want to plead with you guys. I have a feeling I'm going to do another French class soon. And I might even split it into groups, and then Oinda, if I call on you again, I hope you come back. Obinna is like, you don't have a choice. It's like how it is. Let me unmute you so that you can hear your response. It's like you don't have a choice.
No, no, I
And then
don't.
Toby in
No, I
business.
love what you do, and whenever I have the chance to participate, I always love to
Yes,
do it.
Toby, the work you do, the pathway you're doing to get people to that school. I am personally going to be visiting the school. I want to see what more we can do to be able to get more people into those programs. So Oida is the only one that somehow, even before Oida, without Oida responding as well, I can tell from her facial expression that she'll be more than happy to be back again. I just shared Oida's details on YouTube with some of the people there as well. So, and she has shared it here on the group. Toby and Obinna, if you guys want to share your LinkedIn or you want to connect with you, please, by all means, let's share it as well as we round up today. I wish we can take more questions, but my friends, we are going to take more of the questions. I'm having my phones buzzing here and there, all kind of calls. It's just a really busy day. So I'm going to say that other questions will come on the Telegram, on the general Telegram. I've sent the Telegram links to my guests. They are somehow there, so, but the thing is, sometimes I don't like to add my guests to Telegram because of over question and DM and all these kind of things. But some of them who have time sometimes can chime in. I have people on the group, on that Telegram group, don't think they're also looking to travel. Some of them are already in the US, but they're just supporting people. They're just answering questions, and that really, really helps. So Toby's email is there, ricketts@AI Vancity. Write her an email, refer to Move Me in 12 so you can get all the benefits that we have, and if you are going to be applying to AI Vancity, please, I'm going to share a link on the group because we want to be able to track all the people from our community that is applying at AI Vancity so we can give you, additional support, organize specialized workshops and other things that can help you in order to be successful. I personally want to visit the university and also find out like accommodation support for people who are moving there, all these kind of things, because I just really want to get involved. And particularly, I like France, so I like Paris, and and all some of the other places that I've been able to go to there. So thanks everybody. Oyinda, you were fabulous. Toby, amazing as usual. Obinna, you know how it is, soft spoken but loaded, and you were there giving us all of the specific things that we need. I want to thank all three of you for this wonderful session today, and I want to thank all of my participants, particularly people like Nelson Maha. Nelson has always been in every session, and when his results starts coming, some people will say it's luck. It's not luck, it's consistency. And there are many other people as well who they will always be in the sessions regardless. The data and the data bundle that you will need for your progress. The devil will not, God will not allow the devil not to give you. Let me speak like Nigerian parlance now. Nigerian parlance is that, because internet is still metered, which is the mark of retrogression. Internet is still metered. So some people have to leave after 1 hour when their 400 MB has finished. It's sad. So it's a continuous bondage just to make sure that people that can't get the knowledge to be where they're supposed to be. That's the cycle of poverty. That's to say, education brings the cycle of poverty. Education brings the cycle of retrogression as well. And I'm really just hoping that maybe those who dropped off will be able to watch the replay on YouTube at some point, and that will be able to help them to do the things they need to do. I want to keep seeing actions. I had testimonies this past week. This past week has been the week of people finding new jobs. I'm talking about like international careers, resuming in new organizations, getting UN internships, getting admissions to Illinois, to Chicago, all of that. I've been seeing all kinds of testimonials on our group, and yours will not be missing as well. But you got to do what you got to do to be able to make this happen. Once again, let us appreciate all our speakers. Let's say thank you to them in the chat, both on YouTube and on Zoom. If there's a question that we have missed because of time, please know that we will address it on the Telegram group. Go on and ask them again on Telegram group. And I thank you so much, all of you, for being here up to this time. I say God bless you real good. Final words, my friends. In no particular order.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, I'd like to appreciate you, Shala, for putting this together. And to all of you who have joined in, I want you to keep giving your best. You already know the end goal. So the only way you can actually get things going is for you yourself to move.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Just move. Just move. Just keep doing what you need to do. Oyinda.
Yeah, I think in line with what Obinna said, just do it like Nike. So just do it.
Just do it. Don't keep attending webinars. Don't keep coming to Ireland, Germany, France. Do it. Apply. Start. Get started. Okay? And Toby.
Yeah, I mean, don't limit yourself. That's just it. Irrespective of whatever background you're coming from, you can be anything you desire to be. Just
Thank
don't
you so
limit
much.
yourself.
Thank you so much, Toby. To all my regulars, I call them regulars, Tuti, Sadiq, you guys, some of them, it's amazing. It's the ones that know, that want to know more. I won't say more than that. the ones that already know, they are the ones helping others. So yet they will not miss any opportunity to gather additional knowledge. God bless you guys. I'm always excited to see you on the call. And the rest of you that haven't mentioned your name, Femi Adewuyi, Nina, Kez is always there as well. Somto, of course, Somto, that's some good news that Toby has told you in the front of everybody. That's Somto they were talking about. And all of the other guys, you guys are amazing. And once again, congratulations. Akugo, oh my God, Akugo is a coach. She's a mentor to many people, yet she doesn't miss these programs. It's amazing. Awesome to see all of you, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Shola. Thank you very much for the moderation. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shomi, you, Obinna, and Oinda. Have a good evening.
Bye, Toby. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Toby. Thanks, Shala.
Bye,
And thanks,
Obinna.
Oyin, as
And
well.
thanks, Tosi, and
Bye.
thanks, Tosi, for those for your support in the course of
Thanks,
learning.
Tosi, and
Bye.
everyone.